What is your relationship with time? Are you wired and tired, stressed and overwhelmed, busy and going nowhere? Or just want to scale your business? Welcome to Take Back Time with your host, Penny Zenker. Penny focuses on books, strategies, tools, and tips to help you work smarter and approach your time more strategically. As a result, you can have more energy, focus, and get more done in less time. Be more efficient and effective. Get ready to take back time.
Hello, and welcome to Take Back Time. My name is Penny Zenker, and I'm your host. And on this show, we are talking about ways to take back your time and be more strategic and more purposeful in the way that you approach things. And today I'm excited to have Lynda West with me. Lynda is known as the Oprah of San Diego. That's because she's so social and interviews everyone. She's interviewed more than 200 people on her show, Living Live TV. And she's a master connector, a best-selling author of Years for Fears, as well as a few other books, and she'll tell us about those. She's creator of Finish It Fast program, which we're going to hear about today, because finishing it fast is what we're all doing, right? Is what we want to do. And that's where she turns procrastinators into actionators. I like that. And the Facebook Live Queen, having done more than, 2,700 Facebook Live videos. And that was probably an old number. She's a mover and shaker. Lynda, we are so excited to have you here with us. Welcome.
Thank you, Penny. I'm honored to be here. I can't wait to hear what we're going to get into talking about time.
Yeah. Well, I'm just writing down here that actionator. I want to come back to that point because that is fun. So tell us just a little bit about Lynda West. That's your official bio intro, but tell us something that you think the entrepreneurs, in order to get connected to you, can appreciate about what you've gone through.
Well, thanks for asking. I, at the age of 51, after working 49 jobs and working as a legal secretary for 20 years, working for a judge in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, after 49 jobs, right? I realized that I was just kind of like spinning my wheels and I wasn't doing what I was probably put here on earth to do. So I started doing some soul searching. I hired a life coach. And after working with a life coach for about 5 months, I realized that corporate work was not for me. And so I came home one day from work and I told my husband, hey, I'm quitting my job. And this is it. We're going to figure out like what I'm supposed to do here. Now that was in November of 2014. And so in the last 4 years, I've been spending my time trying to figure out, well, what is it that I'm here to do? What is my purpose? And it's kind of been an interesting journey because it's taken me through ups and downs, sideways and everything, just trying to figure it out. And through the journey, I've discovered that, it's the journey. Like Harley Davidson says, it's not the destination, it's the journey. And that's the journey I've been on, is of discovering what is it that I have that can help people. And I think I just finally recently figured it out. And it's been so awesome because when you figure that out, it's like things just start aligning. And that's what's cool about it. That's how you know you're in the flow,
Yeah.
So it's been a great journey. The journey's not over by any means. Now it's the journey of learning, like, how do I then incorporate that into my life and then help others along the way?
That's so important. There could be a lot of people who are listening who are in a job that they really don't love. And the thought of being more productive, right, is like, ew to them in the context of they're doing something that they don't enjoy. So who wants to be more productive in an area that they don't enjoy? And I want to just point out to people is that being productive is doing things that you love. It's unproductive to be stuck in a job and wasting your time, wasting your years away, right? Do you feel like you wasted years away because you just weren't doing what you were meant to do or what you love to do?
Well, that's an interesting question, because one thing I have worked really hard on for this last 4 years is to change my mindset. So for me, I don't look at it as waste at all. Looking back, so many things I learned along the way. I met so many different kinds of personalities. I worked with lawyers for 20 years, and people talk about lawyers and how, lawyers have a bad rap, in my opinion, So I learned how to work with all these different kinds of personalities, which is helping me now. Because now I can take all those things that I learned from all those 49 jobs and I can apply it to what I'm doing now. I can relate to people who are frustrated on their job. I can relate to people who are frustrated driving in traffic every single day, feeling underappreciated or not appreciated at all. I can totally relate to that because I've experienced that. So that's actually one of the blessings I have, is that I can take all of those experiences and apply them now to what I do. And I can sympathize and empathize with those who are going through that. And then I can share with them how they can make that leap and live the life they truly want to live. We don't know when our last breath is going to be. We do not know. So, like for me, spending my time doing things that I don't want to do, that's not something I want to do anymore. So I've made a conscious choice to make sure that if I'm not happy doing something, that I shift it. I either shift it in my mind or I actually remove myself from the situation and put myself into something that makes me happy.
I love that. I really love that. And you know that I'm all about mindset as well.
Yeah.
And you're right. Every experience is a learning experience. It's something that we can grow from, and it makes us who we are today. And that being said, like you said, then now you're making a choice to be more purposeful, and you're going to make it fun, whether it's something that is a means to an end that isn't ultimately your favorite thing to do, but you want to do it because it brings you to another goal, or else you don't do it, right? So I love that.
Yeah. And it's funny you mentioned the word fun, because it was 4 years ago. I remember it really well. The last 4 years, I've tried so many different things, right? But I was putting on an event called Nonprofit Speakers Series, where I would bring nonprofit experts in to talk to nonprofits to help them grow. And I was standing there and I was getting ready to introduce the next speaker. And I said, you know what? I realized this morning that I want to spend the rest of my life having as much fun as possible, hanging out with positive and uplifting people who want to make a positive change on this planet. And when it came out of my mouth, I was like, oh my God, that sounds so superficial.
No,
That was my
it
first.
doesn't.
Well, but in my mind, it did, because it was like I was making this declaration, I'm going to have fun, you know? And then afterwards, though, so many people came up to me and said, I love that that's what your life's mission is. Now I say it proudly because I love having fun. So why wouldn't I want that to be something that I strive for on a daily basis?
Absolutely. And it wears off. Then other people want to have fun. So,
Yeah.
we could live our life with fun or without fun. So why not live it with
Yeah.
everything more fun?
Yeah, exactly.
So that's awesome. And coming back to the theme of the show is take back time. Well, imagine how much time you're really taking back when you're having fun in what you're doing. Even if you're washing dishes or you're cutting the lawn, right? You can make everything a game and make it fun in some way. So I like that. And I'm going to pay more attention and be more purposeful with that, especially starting today. I mean, I have it in my values and everything, but I think it's also like anything. It's something you have to remind yourself of, because we can get distracted in different ways. So we have to continually bring ourselves back to remind ourselves of what's important.
Yeah. And it's funny. My husband and I just bought a motorhome. And last night was my first night sleeping in the motorhome. And I woke up this morning to take my shower, and I got in the shower. It's kind of funny because when we were looking at the shower from the outside without being inside of it, it looked awesome. And I got in there, I was like, oh my gosh, it's very short. And I'm short, so that's a good thing. But then I got out of the shower and I said, oh my gosh, where did I put the towels? I had a hand towel to dry myself off with. So I bring that up because my old me would have been like, complaining. But the new me is like, okay, well, at least I have a hand towel. I'm so thankful
You
to have a hand towel.
You can dry yourself off, right? It can be fun.
Yeah. So I always try to see the positive in things. I have a shower. A lot of people don't have that. And so, I'm grateful for my life and the things that I have. And so I just trying to look at any situation that could potentially take me down the negative rabbit hole. I instead choose to take that other route and turn it into something positive.
Awesome. I love it. Well, let's get in, and we were talking about focusing on what's important, right? That was a little bit of the conversation. And so we were talking, you and I, and how we met was at CEO Space, which is an event where entrepreneurs go to further develop their skills and their networks. And we were talking about a concept called time blocking. And so, I wanted to talk to people on the show who use different tools and different strategies and hear how are they using it? How is it benefiting them? Because I can talk about it, but that's only one perspective. I want to bring in multiple perspectives. So tell us a little bit about why time blocking is important to you and how you use it.
Well, first of all, it was hard for me to discover something that worked for me. I've tried so many different things. I've tried, the passion planner. I've tried this planner and that planner. I've tried online tools. I've tried so many different tools, and they just weren't fitting for me. And that's one thing that's important, is because somebody will say to you, this works, you got to do it. But if it's not working for you, it doesn't work. So when Penny introduced to us at CEO Space, I think it was almost 3 years ago. Yeah, in 2015, it was in 2015. And when she introduced the concept of time blocking, I immediately thought, this isn't going to work because nothing else had worked. But she took us through this exercise that helped me to see that I really thought I had 36 hours in a day. I was thinking, yeah, what the heck? I really think that I'm doing all this stuff. And so it was really cool, first of all, to break that down. And then what I'm doing, Penny, is I'm just using my Outlook calendar.
Yeah.
And I block everything out that I do. So if you look at my calendar, you will pretty much see 24 hours blocked out because I block out my sleep time. I block out my time. Like if I'm going to go to the movies with my husband, I block out my drive time. I always count traffic into that. So I'm always giving myself buffers in case I'm wrong, but I never
so
did
that
that
you're not late, right?
Yeah.
Because how many people are late and stressed out because they don't account for some of those times, right? The driving time or the transition, or give yourself time to go to the bathroom, or, things like that.
Yeah, taking showers. Like I wasn't blocking that time out. Eating takes time. Preparing your food takes time. Everything that we do takes time. Prior to this interview, for example, I blocked out a half hour prior and I call it prep. Mm-hmm. And then after the interview, I block out a half hour called post. And so every time I do something, I have a prep and a post for myself to have that buffer just in case I need it. And so the time blocking, what the time blocking has done for me is, first of all, it's relieved a lot of stress that I had related to time. And not only that, I'm much more productive because I'm actually doing the things that are on my calendar because I've blocked out the time. It's been the best tool that I can't say discovered, right? That you shared with me. It's been the best.
Yeah, you discovered. I didn't make it up, right? I mean, I'm just sharing it.
Yeah, that's true. So I have that, and then Calendly, that's for my calendaring. Those two tools have saved me hours and hours and hours each week, and they both have helped me to become much more productive.
That's awesome. What would you say, there's people, and I encounter a lot of people like this too, who just say, well, that's too structured. I like to be free-spirited and my stuff will just get done. What would you say to that person? Because maybe that's the way you were before you started this.
Exactly. I'm totally free spirit. Anybody who has 49 jobs is not concerned with a lot of stuff, right? We've moved a lot of places too. So I'm definitely a free spirit. We're living in a motorhome right now so that we can get up and move anytime we want. And so that's who I am. What this actually did was to give me more freedom. And the reason is because it seems like, it's so militant, but it's not. What it does is it helps you to see how much time it takes you to do things so that you can enjoy more time having that freedom time. Because if you want to have more freedom, block out freedom time. It's so simple because then you're like, I got the stuff done that I need to get done. Awesome. Now I have all this free time. And so it really actually gives you more freedom by being somewhat structured.
It does. It's almost paradoxical, right? People don't.
It is.
Planning and this type of time blocking will give you more freedom and more flexibility than if you didn't do it, right? And that seems weird, but you're right. And part of that is the reduction of stress that you talked about, because we don't have to keep it all in our head and figure it out. That's like energy that's trapped, right? Because you're not giving your full resources to the moment because you still have that whole list of other things that you have to do and you're not sure when you're going to do it. That's such an important point. So people who are listening, this will give you back more flexibility and more freedom if you really just take those things that are most important for you and structure them.
100%. I was surprised because, first of all, I was surprised that I kept doing it. Mm-hmm. And now it's been 3 years and I've been doing it. Why did you
keep doing it?
Well, because it was working. It was working.
Because it was working.
But now here's the thing, right? It works no matter what, right? But do I work it? So it was working and I was working it. And that's what is so awesome about it, because it's the first thing. Like I said, I tried everybody's like, you got to do the passion planner. That's the one. There's one called the Evo planner that is based on your personality type. And somebody who is using the Evo planner is like, this one's perfect for you because you're an alchemist and this is made for alchemists. And I did it literally for a week and a half. And I went back to my time blocking because time blocking works for me.
So tell us about, so obviously you've created a program called Finish It Fast, right? So
Mhm.
where did this come from? And tell us a little bit about that, because that seems like a really great take back time type of program.
Yeah, they say necessity is the mother of invention. And so I had my own necessity, and that was that I had become a seminar junkie. And, I attended so many seminars, I watched so many webinars. When I first started entrepreneurship, I didn't even know what the word entrepreneur was. And so I really went on this journey trying to discover, like, what does all this mean? How do I make a business? How do I run a business? How do I make money? And all these different things. So I attended seminars, webinars, teleseminars, so many different things. But what happens when you attend those? You come back with a big booklet of stuff
Right.
that goes and it sits on the shelf, because now you got to go attend the next seminar. So you
Right.
don't have time to do that stuff. So I found myself just having a shelf full of all this amazing material, amazing material. And then about 2 years into my entrepreneur journey, I was like, oh my gosh, I have all this stuff and I'm not doing any of it. So I called up a couple friends and I said, hey, I want to start a mastermind, but I want to run it differently than any other mastermind out there. What I want to do is I want us to meet. At this time, we'd met in person. Now we do it online. I want to meet in person. And at the very beginning of the session, I want us to all tell each other what we're going to work on. And then for the next 3 hours, we actually work on it and get it done. Imagine that, getting it done. So at
Right.
that time, the program was called GSD, which stood for Get Shit Done. And I've since changed the name because I wanted to trademark Get Shit Done, but it wasn't trademarkable.
Right.
So I changed the name of the program to Finish It Fast, because basically this program, if you have something that you're putting off and you want to do it, the way it's structured is that you are being held accountable right then and there.
That's
And that's
perfect.
why it works.
Yeah, because you're giving the space and time right there to, I mean, that makes sense, right? There's no excuses. You're sitting there with a group of people and you've probably got a report on what you did at the end of the session, right? Is that
Yes,
part of
yes,
it?
exactly. So we're on a Zoom call, and so everybody reports in, says what they're going to do. And
Mhm.
then, like, the last 15 minutes, so it's a 3 hour block. The last 15 minutes of that 3 hour block, everybody checks back in and says, I got it done or I didn't. What's cool about this is it kind of helps me to be able to tell the percentages of what people are actually accomplishing. And so about 80 to 85% of the time, they finish what they say they're going to do.
Mhm.
I belong to a lot of mastermind programs. I belong to accountability programs, and none of them were structured in a way that worked for me. Because what would happen is at the end of a mastermind call, I got all these brilliant ideas, and then my life happened. And then I'd get to the end of the week, time to check back in with everybody next week. Hey, did you get that stuff done? No.
No.
It happens so often to so many people, like almost every single person in the mastermind groups I belong to or the accountability programs I belong to were that same way. So
Right.
I said, how can I change this and make it so that people are successful? So I really want people in my program to be successful. So I said, what if I sit there with them? I got to work anyway. So what if I just sit there with them for 3 hours and watch them work? And sometimes we jump off the call and jump back on, sometimes we're there the whole time. But at the end of the 3 hours, the accomplishments that people finish, it's amazing and astounding. One woman finished a book that had sat on her shelf for 20 years.
One that
Finished it.
she's writing or one that she's reading?
Good question. She wrote it 20 years ago,
Okay.
but she said, I have one last chapter. And she goes, I'm going to finish that chapter. And in 3 hours, she finished that chapter. And she felt like the huge weight was lifted, after
Right.
20 years.
It's so important. The value of that program is that it's so important to hold ourselves accountable, because
Mhm.
it's easy not to do the things that we want to do that are best for us, right? And it could be some
Yeah.
self-sabotage. Maybe she was afraid of what people would think, and that's why she didn't want to finish the book. But it's kind of like it puts your feet to the fire right there and then. And if you know someone's watching, right? We show up differently when somebody's watching and when they're holding
Right.
us accountable. And so I work with a trainer for that very reason, because I wouldn't show up to the gym. I'd come up with an excuse that something else would become more important.
Right.
So it is really important to me. For some reason, I wouldn't do it, right? So
Mhm.
those kinds of programs, that's fantastic, because it's the same kind of concept, but for work, right? Or for those passion projects. It's
Right.
your trainer who holds you accountable and stands there while you do it, right? Isn't that what a trainer does? Is I work out and he stands there and I pay for that. But I'll do it every time because it gets me results. So I think this is a brilliant model that you're bringing, very different from other forms, like you said, of mastermind and coaching that'll coach you on the call and then you'll go away and do it or not do it.
Right. It's funny you mentioned, the personal trainer thing, because one of the women in the group, she said, I'm so glad I'm doing this because we're checking in at the end of the call. I'm so glad I'm doing this because my husband came in and interrupted me. I said, I can't, Linda's watching me. I was like, brilliant. It worked.
It works, right? And when something works, then embrace it and work it, like you said.
Yeah.
So how do people get a hold of you about getting involved in this program with you? And who's a good fit for it?
Well, a good fit is, I'm really working mostly with women. So women entrepreneurs who are putting things off and they're beating themselves up over it, because a lot of times that's what happens, is sitting on the shelf. Every time we look at it, we say, I'm going to do that. Or even if we're not consciously saying that, our subconscious is saying that. So the Finish It Fast program, you can find that at finishitfast.com. And it's kind of funny, the name, right? Because it's Finish It Fast, but I did it as Finish It and then Fast. I was going to do it different ways, so the word is kind of fun to play with. But finishing things, just completing something, gives you this sense of accomplishment.
Totally. So, what's a dopamine?
Yeah, exactly.
It's a high five. You're high-fiving yourself. It's a hit of dopamine that keeps you in motion.
Yeah. And then also the group, right? Because then you have the group of people who are there cheering you on, wanting you to succeed. And that's so important because many people that I know don't have that positive reinforcement in their lives. So just having this group that wants them to succeed and is behind them and, pulling them through and stuff, it's so important and so helpful. And it really has helped me. Even me being the leader of the group, I still have the group that is helping me make it through my things that I need to work on.
Absolutely. That's awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here and sharing lots of really great nuggets that the audience can take away for taking back time.
Yeah. And just remember, life is short. We don't know when our last breath is. This was so important for me because towards my mom's last days of her life, she expressed how many regrets she had for things she hadn't done. And that's why for me, if I don't want to do something, I'm not going to do it for very long because life is short. I don't want to get to the end and say, I have all these regrets, the things I didn't do. Instead, I can say, I'm so glad I lived the life I wanted to live. Now, the life that I'm living, people might look at it and say, that's not fun. But you know what? For me, it is. And that's what matters. I'm living my life the way I want to live it. And hopefully I'm making a positive impact on other people's lives because that's really important to me.
Absolutely. We each get to choose what's right for us and appreciate that it's going to be different for everyone. Just like you said, also for tools and strategies, there isn't one size fits all. You have to find what works for you.
Yes, exactly.
So thank you so much for being here. It was great having you on the show.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it, Penny.
And thank you all for being here. You were awesome. I know you were taking notes and you took some stuff away, and that is going to be valuable. I'd love it if you would share any comments, either now or after putting some of these things into practice, how they might have served you in your work life or private life. And definitely check out Lynda's Finish It Fast program, especially if you have something that's on the shelf. What did you call it? Shelf development. If you've got any shelf development, let's get that off the shelf and get that finished.
Yes, let's do it.
Let's do it. My name is Penny Zanker, and this is Take Back Time. We'll see you in the next episode.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Today's topic is another opportunity for you to put the knowledge you learned into practice. Tune in again next week for more strategies that will help you have more energy and focus to get more done in less time, so you can continue to take back time.